Hi, this is Will with My Spiritual Clarity, and this video is about the Helper's Paradox and why it is so important for healers to know what it is so that they can either step out of it or at least become aware of it, because it takes years to step out of, but even knowing about it means you can now either begin your practice, begin your business, signing clients, or grow your practice if it's been smaller than you'd like, or scale your practice if you have one but you know that you want it to go to the next level so you can reach more people and make the difference that you really want to make. So the Helper's Paradox states that the more a person needs to help, the less able they are to help. And I first saw this actually as a kid and as a teenager when I would see, especially with parents and especially with my mom, thanks mom, who I just noticed that there was this need to help. And she used to talk all the time about people in other countries and how, especially kids that didn't have the food that they needed, that they didn't have the resources that they needed to, in many cases, just live, survive, to be alive, and in many other cases to have education or have a decent standard of living. And it used to tear her apart. And I saw that for a lot of my life, and I saw the guilt that she carried and the shame that she carried about it, or more so guilt, I think. And I took that on for a lot of my life. And so I later had this belief, this real belief that it was up to me to save the world. And that was a crushing weight, and it ended up leading to depression that I experienced off and on for over a decade. And it wasn't just that, there were other factors to the depression, but all of this was the beginning of learning about the Helper's Paradox. So many years later, as an energy healer, I started working with clients, and I started to notice that the clients that had the biggest need to help, the ones that had the biggest mission, the biggest desires, the biggest dreams to make a difference and an impact, were doing the least to make that happen. And I saw for myself that the same was true, that all the years that I had been in such, frankly, desperation and need to make a difference, that I was really making very little difference at all. And that as I and the more I stepped out of that need to help, the more of a difference I began to make. The more clients wanted to work with me, the more fun I started to have, the more clients started to notice how much fun I was having and wanted to come get some of that, so that they wanted to work with me. The more my business grew, the more I let go of that need to help, that need to give. The more I started to have an impact, the more I started to serve and actually cause the difference that I wanted to cause. The more of service I was able to be. And so for years I called this the helper fixer saver thing. And I said, when I figure out a better name for this, I'm going to be rich. You just watch. I'm going to write a book. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be awesome. And a few years later, it came to me. It's called the Helper's Paradox. And why is it a paradox? Well, because it's strange that wanting to help stops you from helping. It's like saying, oh, I really want to plant, I'm standing on the lawn, I really want to plant this grass. And the more I want to plant the grass, the less able I am. That's a paradox. It doesn't make sense. And yet I saw it, and I still see it showing up for every single healer, coach, and therapist that I've ever worked with. Every single one, to a lesser or greater degree. It's not a black and white thing, and as I always say with the Helper's Paradox, there's a ton of gray area, including, am I saying to stop helping? No. Am I saying to stop donating to charities? No. Am I saying to stop donating your time or giving some of your work away pro bono or for free? I'm not saying any of those things. Again, tons of gray area. So that's a bit about what the Helper's Paradox is and why it's so important for healers, coaches, and therapists. And I want to give you an example because I'm going to be launching in the middle of October. I think October 21st is going to be the next half day for the Helper's Paradox. So it's a half day. We get together, we do energy healing, energy clearing to help you to recognize where are you trapped in the Helper's Paradox, how do you shift out, and then actually do the shifting, do the energy work, the energy clearing during that half day. It's a very magical, very beautiful experience. We have the space and the time to really get into it and to help you really shift and to notice it first physically in your body and even in the air around you, and then next in your life and in your business. So I want to give you a quick example. I've run 2 of these so far, and I think it was at the second one, there was a woman there who, close to the end of the day, the half day, she said, I get it, I get this concept of the Helper's Paradox, but my dad really needs me. he's in a care home, and I'm his primary caregiver. I'm his power of attorney. It's up to me. He needs me. He calls, I think it was like 3 times a day, 3 or 4 times a day. He needs me. He doesn't have much of a social life there. He doesn't have many connections. He needs me. I said, I hear you. Yes, your dad needs you. And she was a little shocked because she thought I was going to say, no, your dad doesn't need you. You know, that kind of all or nothing coaching that many of us have grown so used to. That's not what I said. I said, yes, I absolutely see that your dad does need you. And if you're willing, we can look at this helper's paradox and how it applies to you specifically. What are the specific beliefs that you have going on that are keeping this need energy in your reality? So I said, are you willing? He said, yes. By the end of our short session together, I think it was 10-15 minutes, she was smiling. She felt so much better. She looked lighter. She looked like 5 years, 10 years younger. And wouldn't you know it, it was within 2 days or maybe a week, she messaged me to say, you'll never guess what happened. My dad got a girlfriend. And he doesn't need me so much anymore. He calls, you know, a couple times a week. We have great conversations. We still spend time together, so it's still great. But he doesn't need me so much now. I said, well, look at that. Isn't that amazing? And, you know, I had no idea what the solution was. I didn't say I have the right answer for you. I just said, let's look at this helper's paradox thing and see if we can shift some of the beliefs that you have around that need energy and see what magic can show up. And magic showed up. So stay tuned for more on the helper's paradox. There's so much more to share. There's so much more about it. And do stay tuned for October and the launch that's going to happen. I'd love to see you there. This half day, like I say, is very beautiful. Please do like and subscribe to this video down below. And if you think of any healers or helpers that also might need this message, please do pass this along. Have an amazing day. See you soon.